Alright guys, so obviously I posted about the calf capacity test a couple of days ago. Hopefully you've all given that a bash and given obviously a score for your left and your right. Remember, just to recap, that ideally they want to both be above 30 reps, not on 30, above 30. And ideally as well, they should be within 4 or 5 reps of each other. So realistically, your weaker leg should be hitting 30, 31, and then your stronger leg maybe a few extra reps on top. Okay, so like I said, if you've not hit above 30 on both sides, or there's a slight difference between sides, more than 5, then you need to make sure you're addressing that first. Alright, as well as then looking to assess the hamstrings. So that's what we're going to move on today, is we're going to do a hamstring bridge capacity test. So obviously we've looked at the calf capacity now we're moving further up the leg and looking at the hamstring complex and its general capacity in there. So remember, it's a key mover in our push off or toe off, in terms of that hip extension of moving the leg behind us. So it's almost in a completely extended position as it starts to help generate force through the ground. So that's what we're going to utilise the test today, is a little bit more specific to the running gait, is your leg will almost be fully straight, just like you would in a normal run gait cycle. So what you need to start with is a chair or a box or a bench or something that ideally is 48 centimetres high off the ground. Okay, this is 47, so I'm not far off. Obviously a little centimetre here or there is not going to be a major deal, but realistically if you're lower or higher, you need to try and find something else. If you've got a chair, for example, that's too low, then utilise something like weight plates or something else that you can stack on top to make up the difference. Okay, like I said, try and get as close to that height as possible, just so you can get a decent sort of measurable score for this test. So then from there, all you're going to do is you're going to place one heel onto the edge of your box or your chair. You're then going to lie back, and then you're going to slide backwards, so there's just a slight bend in the knee. So I'm not fully locked out like this. Alright, so you can see there, this is my leg fully locked out. So all I'm going to do is scoop my bum a little bit closer, just so I can keep a slight bend in the leg and still feel like I can leverage through the heel and push my hips up. So that's how far away you want to be from your chair or box. From there, you're then just going to bring the other leg up, floating freely, so it's not assisting in this test, and then you're going to take your arms across your chest, holding on to the collarbone, so just into the clavicles, and that's your start position. Then to carry out the test, all you're going to do is push that heel through your box, your bench, your chair, to lift the hips up so that you've got a straight line through the knee, the hip to the shoulder. So we're not locking out the leg, we're just driving the hip straight up. There should be the exact same bend in the leg throughout the whole test. So it looks like this. So just push it up. Like I said, get the straight line all the way through from shoulder to knee and lower back down. Just like the calf test, we're looking for a 1 second up and a 1 second down pace. Make sure the bum goes all the way back down to the floor, and we're getting that same range of motion at the top every time. So a smooth, steady pace, focus on pushing that leg through the object. Like I said, getting that alignment from the knee all the way to the shoulder. And again, count your repetitions per side. So keep going either until you can't keep the correct form, you can't keep the tempo, i.e. you have to stop or pause, or you hit more than 30. So just like the calf test, we're using a similar scoring range. So we want ideally above 30 to be considered really good. Alright, and if you're below 15, then that needs some serious work. And again, we want the two sides to be very similar, so again, we don't want them really to be more than 4 or 5 reps apart. Okay, so obviously test the right leg, test the left leg, make sure you count the reps for each one, and then get your scores and go through that comparison. So straight away there, if you've got a deficit in either your calves or your hamstrings, then you've identified there an imbalance. So what it means is that as you start to fatigue, the muscle group that scores the highest is going to start to take over from the one that scores the lowest. And in a typical run gait, they both need to contribute equally to our run cycle. And so most of you will probably find that your calves do well and your hamstrings don't do very well. So straight away there, that means when you go through the whole hip extension cycle, as that loses capacity, especially during the absorption phase, your calf is going to have to take over and produce a little bit more than what it should. So again, if you're suffering with things like Achilles tendinopathy, calf strains, or just general calf tightness all the time, and you find that your hamstrings don't have the capacity based on this test, it's probably a good indicator that that's what you need to focus on to take away from the calf itself, okay? Yes, obviously there's other ways that we can alleviate it, as I talked about in the injury prevention video series, such as soft tissue work, etc. But again, remember what I said, just the sight of pain, discomfort isn't necessarily always the problem. Look up and down the stream, and that's what we're doing with this hamstring capacity test. So if you found that you've not got above 30, then you want to obviously add in a little bit extra hamstring work into your training, okay? So you can still carry on doing what you're doing, but what I would say is introduce this exercise as your sort of corrective for the lack of score in this test. So all you want to do to start with is static holds. So literally go to the exact same position as we've just gone through for the test, but then holding that hip in place and building up that capacity until you can do a good 45 to 60 seconds per leg without having to rest. Don't try and hit that straight away, build up slowly. All right, it may be that you do 10-second hold, breather, 10-second hold, breather, do that 5 or 6 times on one leg and then on the other, and then just slowly increase those increments in time, so then doing 10 seconds rest, 10 seconds rest, etc., until eventually you can do a good 45 to 60 seconds in one go per leg, okay? So like I said, just to recap, all you're doing is a static hold, so the same position as we did for the test, holding it up, pushing in, and driving through, okay? And like I said, building it up, all right, especially if you've got a really low score, all right, these aren't strong enough, let alone have good capacity, so they may cramp up quite quickly, and that's absolutely fine. So just go just below maximal, have a breather, 5 to 10 seconds, and repeat that for repetitions, all right? Take time with it, build it up slowly, make sure you're keeping the same form, keeping that alignment, so don't let the hips start to sag, all right? And then if you can build up to a good 45 to 60 seconds, then you can start adding a little bit of weight into it, and then start doing it for repetitions. So something like a kettlebell or a plate or a dumbbell, okay? So again, setting up in the same position, placing the object into the hips, supporting it with the hands, and then we can go through those repetitions, all right? And then you're looking at sort of 10 to 12 reps per set, 30 seconds rest between, and doing 3 or 4 sets per side. And then obviously your progression then is adding weight as you go rather than repetitions. And again, just like I've always talked about, test and retest. So use some of these exercises for at least a period of 4 weeks, then retest, note improvement, all right? And then obviously as you're running as well, see if anything feels different. You know, like I said, if you have got calf complaints or anything like that, and you start to improve your hamstring capacity and strength, see if that then alleviates any tension, pain, discomfort in your calves as you go as well, okay? So yeah, have a go at that. Any questions, just give me a shout. And as I said, you've got a couple of exercises to get on with to help improve your score on that test.